Hello, coaches. You are here for our pre-boot camp quick win number 2. And here's a bold statement for you. Your team dinners are not actually building the chemistry and the team culture that you want. I know we spend so much time on dinners and doing trust balls and doing the ropes courses and all the things. And I've done it all, right? And some of them are really, really fun. But then you come into practice and things are still the same, right? Nothing has changed. And your team isn't actually much closer. And you're kind of, at the mercy of whatever like drama thing is going to happen that week. So chemistry is actually not built at team dinners. I'm not saying that you shouldn't feed your team. Okay. Free food is always a good idea. I still do team dinners for sure. Okay. But that's not actually what's building connection with me and my team. And I'm going to teach you today a 10-second connection hack that has really changed my ability to connect with your team, with my team, with my individual players. We all know that we should be like checking in with them and seeing how they're doing, but you're like, who the heck has time for all of that? And the thing about it is you don't have to plan this like big, enormous thing. You can actually be building in small moments of connection. And this 10-second thing that I do at the start of every practice is one of the ways that I do this. This is actually part of day 1 of our boot camp happening next week. We're breaking down what's called the chemistry code and how to connect with players and have them connect with each other in small moments that build trust over time. So if you're not already registered for our boot camp, registration is still live right now. We kick off on Monday. So I will put the link in the chat for that right now. Let me grab it. There you go. So that is our 4-day boot camp for coaches. Day 1, like I said, we're going all into this idea of how do you build actual chemistry on your team? And it's not just more team dinners and ropes courses and things like that. Okay, so here's what I do. Yesterday, if you didn't watch pre-boot camp quick win number 1, I talked about a pre-practice routine that I do with my players. It's really changed how my practices run. They're more focused. Everything is just like way better, right? Now, part of that pre-practice, I do something for about 10 seconds with each player, all right? It's a 10-second check-in. Here's what I do. As they're going through their pre-practice on one side of the board, so I have a whiteboard. Again, I said yesterday, if you don't coach with a whiteboard and you're in a gym, like get a whiteboard. If you coach not in a gym, you can't have a whiteboard. Like you can do some clipboard. You can, there's other ways that you can do this. But on the other side, my team is checking in. And what they do is they're all listed there, their name, their number, and then on the top, they have to report a few things. They come to the board, they report how much sleep they had the night before, how much water they've had to drink that day, what their focus is for practice. And then there's a little checkbox asking, did you eat a snack? Did you eat a snack? And actually we get donations from the parents and there's a little snack cart that they can have a snack before practice, because I find, just like you probably do, like if they're not eating something before practice and then they're dragging and then it just becomes a whole thing. So I'm like, you got to eat. Okay. We're athletes. We need to eat. And so they record these things. And this is not for me to like micromanage them. I'm not being like, you only had 6 hours of sleep last night. What were you on your phone again? I'm not, no, nothing of that. Now, it is a little bit of layer of accountability because we talk about the importance of sleep. We talk about hydrating. And so when you are held accountable to those things, you come on the board, it does help them have a little more accountability. And I get to kind of see like, oh, all right, she maybe is lacking sleep or this and that. I get to see what they're focusing on. But here's where the hack actually happens. Okay. So I position myself at the board where they're doing their check-in. I'm kind of writing stuff on the board, all of that. Every single athlete comes to the board one at a time through, their pre-practice within that 15 minutes. Every single one is coming. I'm there. And so I'm like, oh, hey, Macy, how's it going? She's writing on, it's very casual, connecting. Oh, okay. Like, how was school today? I am checking in one-on-one with every single one of my athletes. Sometimes it literally is only 5 to 10 seconds. So it's like, hey, how's it going? Fist bump. All right, cool. You're focused for practice. Oh, looks like you got some good sleep last night. Great. And that's good to go. Other times it might be a little bit longer. Okay. 10 seconds on average. And so maybe it is like, oh, like how'd school go? Oh, I had a test. And, I get little nuggets of insight on what's going on with my athletes before practice ever starts. All right. And every single one of them are coming to the board. So I'm talking varsity team. We've got 12 athletes. Maybe you have more. This still is doable. You are still positioning yourself in that spot. So they're coming to you to record and you're there like checking in with each of them. And I'll tell you what, like I said, I get some nuggets of information. I get also like this, accountability. I create individual connection at scale. So I'm not just, gravitating towards certain athletes that are more outgoing. Even the shy, the introverted ones are still coming, and I'm building relationships with that. And this is how you build connection in small moments over those big events, because this is every single day, and that compounds every single day before practice. So let me know in the chat right now. First of all, what sport do you coach? I'm curious there. Put it in the chat. What sport do you coach? Because that also helps me. Like, how would you actually do this? Do you do something like this already? I also want to know that. Like, and it's okay if you don't. I didn't do this for years, and I was like, how am I supposed to have time to fit all of this in? And I'm like, all right, here we go. Like, I can actually just stand at the board. I'm not on my phone. I'm not talking to my assistants. I'm there present so that I can do these check-ins, and I learn more about my athletes. They're going to play harder for you because if they know that you care just even a little bit about who they are outside of what they do in their sport, it makes a big difference. Okay. But so let me know, do you already do something like this? And if you don't, how might you incorporate this into practice? Yeah. Coach Swimming, I have 40 to 50 athletes each day. Okay. So maybe they're checking in on just one thing. Is there a place that they can go to check in on a focus or a practice? And you're just like, okay, here we go. Great. I see your focus. And it's even just a fist bump, even a high five. It's acknowledging them. I see you. We're going to talk about this in the boot camp around how we can help athletes feel seen and validated, they exist. That's the bare minimum. And you find psychological safety is the number one predictor of success in team sports. So even if you do have a large roster, how do we make sure that our athletes are being seen? Because that is what's going to predict their success. Psychological safety, okay, is, do I belong here? Do I belong here? Can I be myself here? Okay. Yeah. Softball, no, never done something systematic. And this is this is kind of low hanging fruit. I think it's okay, hey, here's a clipboard. You're going to write down, make it simple. What matters to you? For us, we've built on it, sleep, hydration, because we've talked about the importance of this. We want to be our best, all of that. What's your focus for practice today? Just one thing that you're focusing on, something like that. And you're just there being awesome. That's a great focus. Okay. And like I said, our 4-day boot camp next week is going to dive more into systems. I like that you said nothing systematic. Systems are what will drive your program. Okay. Right now, you might be in a position where you kind of are winging it. You're mishmashing things together. Whether or not you connect with athletes is kind of random. Maybe it's when they have an issue, you are coming to them, or you're wanting them to come to you, but they're not, and they come to you and it's a bigger issue. That's very normal. But when you have systems in place, that is actually what drives championship programs. You have a system to check in with athletes. When you have a system to build leadership across your program. When you have a system to explain what their role is and what playing time associated with their role. When you have a system for your parent communication. When you have a system for mental training. Systems are what build and drive championship programs. When you don't have systems, then you just kind of fall to motivation, what you're feeling like that day, what's going on, the fire that needs to be put out, because goodness knows there's lots of them. Okay. But when you have systems in place, then it's not like everything runs perfectly, but you, for the most part, have things under control where it's running in the background. And you don't have to show up with as much burnout, and you don't have to manage it all because you have the system in place. So that's what we're building in our boot camp next week. If you haven't already registered, it's a 4-day boot camp. It's $19. It's going to be the best $19 you spend, because I'm handing you systems. I'm handing you templates, little things that you can be doing to build this connection on your team, build leadership. Day 2, like I said, is about the chemistry code. So how to build chemistry on your team without just doing a bunch of crazy team bonding stuff. Right? Day 2 is the role clarity blueprint. So this is, how do you communicate roles on your team, playing time, what their purpose is on the team. And a lot of times coaches, we're they should know, right? They don't. Okay. So we have to tell them, we have to help them understand, because if you don't tell them and you don't communicate, they create stories in their heads. Right. And it's typically not a good story. Let me know in the chat. Give me a yes if you've been how did you get that story in your head? What? You think that? I don't, that's the furthest thing from what I'm thinking, right? We've all been there as coaches. So when we actually have a system to communicate this, and it's also shared with their parents, then that helps eliminate some of that drama. Okay. So that's day 2. Day 3 is our leadership that lasts system. So we talk about, we're going to teach you how to develop leadership across your program. So it's not just 2 captains or 3 captains or the seniors that you hope will lead, but they are terrible leaders and they're not really leading in the way you want them to lead. So I'm teaching you a little bit about how we develop something called the leadership core, which is another system to develop leadership. And then day 4, we're talking about how it all fits together. So all of the systems that will help your season run without you having to be burned out and do everything. So the link is in the chat if you have not registered for that yet. If you have, I'm really excited to be with you live next week. We go live for 4 days together. The trainings are short. They're between like 20, 30 minutes. We also have a little bit of Q&A built in there, and you get systems and templates so that you can be running your program. So yeah. Okay, tennis. I interact individually when they come to practice as I arrive before the team. Great. I mean, that sounds like a great system for you too. Like, hey, as long as there is some sort of connection there, because I used to get overwhelmed. I'm like, I don't know. And then makes it more equitable too, right? Because naturally we're going to gravitate towards athletes that are maybe more outgoing or we just have better connections with. And that's just like human nature. And this allows you to be more equitable with your connection with your athletes so you can really be intentional there. So, all right, great job at showing up. This is a short one. Let me know, like a quick little nugget. Let me know if you're planning on changing this or changing a little bit of your pre-practice. If you haven't already watched day 1, go back and watch that because that's a great one to shift just kind of what that 15 minutes before practice looks like for you as well. Because that's sometimes a lot of wasted time, but it's a lot of potential for opportunity there. All right. We're going to go live tomorrow for one last quick tip before the boot camp officially kicks off. I'm talking about the 3 phrases that you should be saying to your athletes daily to build their confidence. All right, so we'll be live tomorrow. I think we're at 11 a.m. Pacific. That is 2 p.m. Eastern. All right, see you later.